Okay, let's go. Sounds are up, it seems. And I got one viewer already on Twitch. Hello, viewer on Twitch. Feel free to reveal yourself. I don't think StreamYard has a user list, so... Or does it? Okay, hey ho, let's go. This is BEEMAN.DEV with Open Source Sunday, and today I will be working on Nrwl Nx, and I'll be cutting a new release of Angular Split, the split screen library that we worked on last week here in Open Source Sunday, which is this one. I got a pull request that adds support for Angular 10 and 9, that builds it on Angular 9 and 10. So we're going to go ahead and upgrade these libraries to see if it works with the latest version, and if it does, then we're going to cut a new release. But first up, I want to take a look at Nrwl Nx and maybe submit a pull request for Nrwl Nx. Because what happens is that there are people who start with an empty NX workspace, then they want to generate code, but it gives an error message, and that is because they don't have a plugin installed. Now there's a topic about this, and let me see if I can find it here. I recall who opened it. I did not. Let me quickly check if I can find it here. I know in this topic we talked about Docker files, so I'm gonna search for that. Yes, this is the issue that I was talking about. Issue 2953 in the Nrwl Nx repo. And I got a comment. Let me quickly check. Tu voz está bajita. Ok. Voy a cambiarlo. No sé si está mejor así, mi amor. So, okay, let's move on with this. I hope the voice is better. Let me know if I need to change something. So this is the issue. The error message that people seem to get is collection Nrwl workspace cannot be resolved. Or at some point they get another error message, but it's basically all a variation of the same. I think somewhere down here somebody got, I can't find the collection Nrwl workspace. And it happens along the board. Now, one of the suggestions was if there could be an update that says collection Nrwl workspace cannot be resolved, did you install at Nrwl Angular? However, this error message doesn't come from NX itself. The error message comes from the schematics library, which is used under the hood. So there's little we can do about it. And additionally, if somebody gets the error message, could not find module X, we don't really know what X is because they're in an empty workspace. We don't know whether they want like Angular or Nest or Node or React or Web. So what was suggested here is, I wonder why there's no mentions on this for empty workspaces. And BEEMAN, who I recognize as well from Twitter, and I think he's in the Angular community Discord. So hello, BEEMAN. Or PMAN. This is actually a pretty good suggestion. I think there should be a message when you install an empty workspace, like, hey, it looks like you installed an empty workspace. In order to get started, you need to install one of these plugins. So this is what I'm going to do today. I'm trying to add this in NX Workspace, but let's quickly take a look for those of you who are unfamiliar with how this looks. I'm going to go to my sandbox here. I have a sandbox, well, yeah, sandbox already there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new empty workspace, and this we'll call it NX empty. And in order for me not to walk through the wizard each time, I'm just going to say preset is empty, CLI is NX, and I'm going to disable NX Cloud for me because it doesn't need to create a bunch of accounts for some dummy projects I'm working on. So when we execute this, we will see that this will start a new NX workspace, like we'd expect. And then once that's there, people generally start off with NX generate and then whatever the documentation says. Now, when we take a look here, because it's been mentioned, for instance, here, there is a mention that you need to install this when you follow the tutorial, but I can imagine that people just play around, want to start an empty workspace, and they don't really know the concept. They're not aware that they have to install the plugin first, so we can help them a bit and basically tell them they need to do this, because this is the step that's not obvious for people. So then in my sandbox here, well, we'll not really use the project at this point, but we will use it as a reference and to see how we can improve it. And while this is installing, I'm gonna send one message here. So that's that. Now, this is still installing. It's on the slow side. I hope this gets here anytime now. One second, please. I need to get some water. Be right back with you all. Now, I'm not sure why this installation is taking so long. I can imagine it's my network connection that's not optimal, but let's not bother with it too much. So we can already check what we need to do inside this NX workspace. So let's go, let's get started. One of the things I always like to do when I'm working on an open source project, which is also obviously the best practice, is update your local master or main branch, master in the case of NX, and make sure that you're working on the latest version, because if we check the git log here in my git log inside my repo, we see that the last update that I got is from July 24th. And that is 2 months ago, I think, or a month ago. I don't know. I'm not good at these time frames. Anyway, we want to update this one, pull in the latest from upstream, take whatever changes they have pushed my origin up. So we want to take this upstream, fetch it in, update my local master here to be exactly reset at heart to whatever they have here, and then do a push. So I update my origin master, my main branch, and that should be all fine. Now there's a few steps you can do, and what I like to do is create an alias that does this for me. So my alias that I have is upstream master that I can control. I created a few. I have one for main. I have one for develop, which is generally the branches I'm working with. And this is a simple alias that does git checkout master. 1 second, please. Okay, sorry. So what this alias does, it checks out master, it fetches upstream on that master branch. It does a hard reset from the upstream/master branch, and then it does a git push and takes me back to the other branch I was working on. So let's make sure that the music stays relaxed. Let me know if you want to hear something else. And no, this seems pretty relaxed. Okay, cool. So let's get into a more real life scenario, and let's say that we're on a branch that's called BEEMAN.DEV empty, let's say empty workspace message. And now this is the branch I want to work on, and then I realize that I want to update master. So now I simply run us master. This will check out master, fetch it in, do the reset, push my reset up to my branch that I have locally, and then switch back to the branch I was on, which is the one I just created. And we can already open new, check the repository that I got locally, that I got on GitHub. Oh, that's what you get when you get a typo. And then let me switch to my browser right here so you all can see it. There we are. The Beatsmiths. So that the last update here was from yesterday, and then when I check my fork online, this should also have the same last commit. Yesterday, it looks like I'm still behind. Okay, so this is what happens. I was 127 commits behind Nrwl master, and when this code executes, when this actually is done running here, then my branch on GitHub should be updated with the same one. Should not be behind anymore, and that's when I can get started on getting actually this message in. So this is where we are with the creation of the project. So we created an empty NX workspace with the empty preset CLI called Nx without cloud. Without NX Cloud, so we don't pollute their projects. And then what we actually want to do here is some message saying like, hey, you installed an empty workspace. It looks like you installed an empty workspace. In order to continue, you need to install one of these plugins. And I don't know, maybe list out the plugins that we have or link them to the website. Ask them to read documentation. Right, okay. So let's see what happened here. Let's ring Bjorn to make sure that we're up and running with the latest dependencies of NX. So yeah, this is the message where, this is the place where we want to have a message. Now, I think if I recall correctly, if we select the Angular CLI, we already get some sort of message. Let's just check that NX empty Angular and get the Angular CLI. So I'm creating two projects here, because if we already have a message with the Angular CLI, then that would be a nice place to hook in to the other message. And so let's see if that's the case. And then what we can take a look at. So this lives in the create script, I think, which is this create NX workspace script. And the majority of the code is being handled here. So this is where we have the flow of the application. It tells us which presets are there. It does some things to make sure we have good error messages. And then here is where actually the processing of the CLI happens. We run help, and this is the main workflow of the app. So this is all, this is the whole flow of the app. We determine the workspace name, we check which preset we're in, check the app name. If there's a style property, if the CLI is passed in, ask about NX Cloud, and if that's all done, if that's all set up, it will create a temp directory, a sandbox directory, and it will run the create app method. And I think the create app method is where we want to be with our change. I think this is where we can hook into. Or it might be this show NX warning. It might be that we have to do this afterwards. So if we take a look at the show NX warning, this is something that runs afterwards, an output node NX CLI is not installed globally. This means you might have to use blah, 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 blah. And from what I remember, this works. So what it does here, it takes the workspace name and it tries to resolve the workspace name related to the current path. So that would be nxmt-ng in the last application we created. And it's going to run the command nx version inside of this. When that fails, this catch method gets executed. So then it adds a vertical separator and it adds a note. So what I'm probably going to start out with is try and hook into this. And I think I'm going to get a method in that's going to be called show empty workspace. Show empty workspace warning. And what we're actually interested in is the preset. Because if the preset is empty, we want to show a warning. And we can already copy in the warning and probably add a vertical separator as well. You need, let's say the title, you need to install a plugin. And we can continue, we can change this language a little bit, but let's for now copy over something that I commented here, which is the list of notes. So the list of plugins. And in order to add functionality to an empty workspace, you need to install a plugin. For example, and then list this one. Okay. So this is the message that we actually want to show, and I don't think I even need the preset, because at the place where I'm going to show this, I'm just going to check, hey, if they selected the preset, show this. So that'll be here. And I'm going to do it as the latest message. They might have different ideas about this, but let's do this for now. So if the preset is empty, show empty workspace warning. And with that, I think we made the changes needed to get this running. If only things were ever so simple. It might very well not be this simple, but let's take a look. So I ran yarn here just to make sure that all my dependencies are up to date, which seems like there's still some stuff to do. Okay, it's up to date. Now, what we want to do is run a build, and NX is self-hosted. That means NX Workspace is running inside an NX Workspace, which is pretty cool. Because this gives us the benefit of having all the NX goodness. In this case, mostly the build caching that I'm interested about, because I don't care about building all these libraries several times when I just update this one library. Now, what I only want to check if, so they have some scripts that help with the build. So I'm just going to run yarn build, and that will execute their scripts with the local flag. So the build setup of Nrwl Nx is definitely something to check out. It's pretty well done, I should say. They have a setup where you can host your own local registry here based on Verdaccio, local or an NPM, self-hosted NPM server. And this pops up a local NPM instance. It changes your NPM client and your yarn client so that they point to this local registry, and you can then publish locally, test locally. This is pretty cool, and we'll look at this at some point, I'm sure. Today, I don't think we need it. I might do it. So let's see if something happens on Twitter. Not really. It's Sunday, everybody's quiet. In Europe, everybody's most likely sleeping or getting ready to sleep. That's fine. I'm gonna try and do it a bit earlier, so I'll have more overlap with people in Europe that want to check my streams. But for now, I'm just going along with what I think works. So yeah, everything's quiet. YouTube's quiet. Discord is quiet. So while this is building, and this needs to run it right now, it will build all these packages, and then once it's done, we can link it locally. I think actually it might be linked in the script already. So let's see. Let's see if they do a link. No, they don't seem to do a yarn link. I'm gonna do that manually once this is finished, and then what we can do in the meanwhile is check the output of our Angular command. So it looks like we don't have a message with the globally installed Nx, and also not a message of the courses. So if you look here inside the create Nx workspace script, right besides where we added this, where we added our new command, there's actually two messages being prompted. Point to tutorial and course based on the preset. And actually, you know what? This might be the better place to hook in this message, because there's already a place where we can hook in. Okay, so what we actually need to do is just add an entry to this one. That's going to be it. Okay, love it. Love it, love it. I'm happy to see that this is here. So, what order did they use? Non-alphabetical order. Let's pop in empty in the front here. And let's see. Okay, so the only difference they have is they have a different body line here, and then the point to course message is the same. Okay, I don't know exactly the language here, and I don't really think that I'm the right person to figure that out. So I'm just going to add something tentatively, and then they'll give me feedback in the pull request, I'm sure. So what we're going to do here is say if empty preset, this is the body line you want to use. So we're going to copy over this comment here, add it to the empty preset, and move the body lines up to here. Get rid of this one. And that should be it. This was nice to see that there's that this is in place already. Cool. So now this method will not be executed anymore. So we can get rid of it here. And we can get rid of it here. So nice. I like it. I like it when a pull request can be added with a minimal amount of changes, and maintainers like that as well. It seems like they already taken it into account that we want to say different stuff with different presets. So this is good. And now once this is done building, we can get link this up locally, and this should allow us to run this locally. Check what it's all building. I actually will expect it to also use the cloud build so that I could leverage whatever build is there. It is set up here. Cacheable operations are build base. So I need to figure out why that doesn't work as I expect. I would expect these caches to be taken from... What are they? No, if they would be cached, I would get a message. And let's take a look at what ID is nagging about. Yeah, okay, we can get rid of this one because that doesn't exist. I agree with that one. I don't agree with this one. This package just exists. You should be able to find it, fella. My fella. But it might be the TypeScript service that needs to have a kick up the butt. TypeScript service. There we go. Hello. There we are. That at times helps it. Okay, so this is building the base. It runs a lot of things. It seems that my browser, well, and seems that my browser is kind of busy, and that might hog down the rest of the system. So yeah, as you folks know, I'm still checking out what's the best setup for me. What I do like is I stream to both YouTube and Twitch right now. That's kind of cool. Cool that that's possible. And yeah, StreamYard has been nice to me so far. I just updated the background, so we have like some fancy code on top there. And I'll pimp it some more. It has limited ability to add stuff. You can add stuff like this. Overlays, that might be nice at some point. Get BEEMAN.DEV in here. Or maybe my own logo on the top right there. Weird. Something like this. And get some clips in. But for now, I'm just going to leave it by default. And make sure that my stream is stable. Which is the more important stuff. What I also like to note is that I also always upload these videos to YouTube afterwards. So I'm trying to get a lot of stuff out there. I'm trying to show people how to work with open source on Open Source Sunday. Yesterday I did a Saturday night live stream, BEEMAN.DEV Saturday night live stream, where I just started messing around and experimenting with stuff. Yeah, just let me know if you think this stuff is interesting to you, if it's useful. Let me know what other things you like to see. So yeah, it's for me kind of new to send out unpolished stuff like this, like a live stream. I generally, when I'm making courses for Egghead, for instance, I am polishing them up quite a bit. I'm editing it and to optimally use the time. And I understand, like, it's not an easy task to sit in a 1 hour a live stream, but hey, people seem to like this, and if they do, I'm happy to provide this. So yeah, give me a like on YouTube if you're there. Follow my stuff, like my videos. That really helps me. So I would appreciate that. And let's see where we're at with this library. Okay, so it seems like it's still building here. So what I can do is go over to another terminal in the meanwhile and start downloading Angular Split. So we're at least productive. I like to be productive on a Sunday, doing some open source stuff. BEEMAN.DEV Open Source Sunday. Ring to it. Let's get in Angular Split. This is what I actually want to do. Add the Discord badge. So yeah, we have a Discord as well. As long as I'm promoting, let's keep promoting the Angular community Discord. Easiest way to find us is first to go to Twitter, check the Angular Discord account, and follow the invitation there. So we have Angular Discord, and this account tweets about our community. And we're 550 people already, I think. We started about a week ago, and yeah, we have quite a lot of interesting people joining us already. We have folk from the Angular team, we have GDEs, we have library authors, we have generally experts that are known in the community and they're willing to help. There's conversations all day about Angular. There's special beginner channels. So we aim to be very inclusive and beginner friendly. We want everybody to feel welcome. And yeah, up until now, it's been super nice. So yeah, give it a roll. Check it out if you haven't already. Angular Discord on Twitter has the invitation link in their profile. So yeah, and then on the Angular Split repo, I actually added a badge. So one of the things we do with the Angular community is we offer hosting for your channel. So if you have an Angular library and you want to have a chat with your users, but you don't really care about setting up your own Discord and trying to manage it, you can have a channel at this Discord. There you go. Here's the link. Here's another way to find it. So there's 104 people online right now, which is pretty nice. But yeah, library authors can get a link at can get a channel at our Discord, so you don't have to maintain it. Plus, you have the benefit of having, basically diving in, being part of a active community already, which is, we think, both beneficial for the library author as for the community as a whole. Another thing we offer with the Angular community Discord is we can host the channel for your meetup as well. So basically anything related to Angular, whether it's a library or a meetup or some other initiative, if it's related to Angular, we can talk about giving you a channel here, and then you don't have to run the server, and you'll have more exposure to your library or meetup. And yeah, that way we try to grow the community on Discord. So when we go back to the editor here, so let's see, I can check out the master branch, pull in the latest changes, and then pick up where I left off with the last time, which is, I think this is the Angular 9 branch that I have created. Actually, the first thing I like to try is, I think they might live here in Sandbox. Yeah, so I got a few split sandboxes. I got a few sandboxes for Angular 8, Angular 9, and Angular 10. And what I'm interested in is seeing in which version I can run this library I built with Angular v10. So on NPM, I have a next version up. Let's go to, let's check that out. npm.im/Angular-split. And we just want to make sure that this next branch, the next tag on npm, is the one we want to install. So look at the versions tab here, and then we'll see that there is 7 days ago, last week, I added 5.0.0/beta 0 under the next tag. So I'm going to go ahead and open each of these sandboxes, upgrade it to the next tag, and make sure they're working. And let's start with Angular 10. That should be the obvious one that works, so that should be an easy fix right here. So in the meanwhile, in the background, I'm going to open this in the tab so we can take a look at it. That's what I actually need to do. Let's make sure that I'm using yarn here. I'm using npm. Okay, good that I checked. So if we look at the dependencies here, we see that Angular Split is added as a normal regular dependency, Angular Split. So I can simply say npm install angular-split add next, and this will only update that dependency. I'm not really interested in updating the rest of the project at this point. And once that's running in the background, what I'm going to do, I'm going to prepare the other two sandboxes as well, because they eventually need to have the same treatment. There you go. I'm not going to run them all at the same time though, to be a bit easy on my machine. While I'm streaming, it doesn't seem to be very powerful at all. So I'm going to prepare this tree and well, then run it, check it out if we don't have any errors, and if it works, I'm fine. We can always find errors and fix errors afterwards. But the library and what it does seems to be pretty stable. So let's see, let's first see if we can run an ng build. And if we can run an ng build, then I'm going to ng serve it, play around with it for a few seconds, and then push it all up. It would be nice if these split sandboxes would also have E2E tests running. So that might be something that we can look at in the future. That's why I'm basically running E2E tests on several Angular versions, which might be kind of cool. And thinking about it, I mean, I was about to say it's cool if we could run this in a NX workspace, but that's a bit far-fetched to have like 3 different Angular versions in one single NX workspace. I don't really see that happening. But what we can do is create some shared libraries. For instance, the demo pages might be some shared libraries that we're gonna split between, that we're gonna reuse between these 3 sandboxes. So that might be a nice idea for Open Source Sunday sometime, maybe next week, who knows. If you have any other suggestions of things you want me to look at, I'm totally open for hearing any ideas. If you want me to help you out with an open source library that you've been working on, and that's fine as well. Okay, we do have an error here. Get and setter must have the same time. Split component.d.ts. Okay, so this is interesting to see. So this Angular 10, that one is not working directly. I would not have expected as it's working, as it's built with Angular 10. Now to be sure, I think what my next easiest thing to do is start another new project, ng-new, split sandbox, and let's see v10 next. And start it with routing and style as CSS. I don't really think it's necessary, but they're there already, so why not go with them? Yeah, let me take a sip of water and see if we can continue with NX while this is all installing. So, in my other screen, there you go. I got a successful build here, so that's nice. Everything here got built, and this means that we can now see our changes. So inside build, inside the package folder, there's a create NX workspace folder. And what I want to do here is run a yarn link. And when I run yarn link, this will link up this dependency and make it, this package, make it available globally, so that when I run yarn create NX workspace, that it will use this version of it instead of the one it pulls from internet, from the package registry. So we got a lot of things running on the computer at the same time. I'm jinxing it a little bit, but hey, that's live stream for you. BEEMAN.DEV Open Source Sunday with NX Workspace and Angular Split. I'm so glad I'm having you here. I feel like a DJ. I've always wanted to be a radio DJ, and this is probably the next best thing. So yeah, love you guys for sticking around and for checking out my stuff. I really, really appreciate it. So let's bump up the font a little bit so my viewers can see what I'm actually seeing. And yeah, also these kind of stuff, I really like to have your feedback. If you like my setup, if you like the font size that I'm using here and the color in my editor, it's all pretty new, as I've repeated several times. So I'm still looking what I'm doing. So without further ado, let's create an empty workspace again and call it empty message, whatever. Just give it some name. It's a sandbox project with the same defaults, and then it informs me right here I'm using the linked package for create NX workspace. So this means it uses the one that we just linked up with your link. And we're getting an error message here. CLI parameter must be one of the following, and what I missed out on the space here. So I need to add a little space between these two words. So let me get back to command, add the space back in here, and run it again. And then when that ran, we should be able to get a message like, hey, you're using the empty workspace. If you want to do something interesting with this, you need to install one of the plugins. And if that works, then that's a quick PR on the NX repo. Have them provide their feedback, and then roll with that, and then hope they accept my PR. It's always nice to see PRs accepted. I try to be good with this as well. With that being said, if you have a PR open on my repo and I forgot about it, please ping me and I'll happily look at it. Happens to the best of us. That's what we say. Okay, so this workspace is running here, and what we can do is check the other terminal I've opened where it's doing the installation. Okay, so Angular 9 version has Angular Split Update installed, so let me go ahead and run a run build on this one. Then additionally, we're going to look at V8, so Angular version 8. I'm curious if it can run the library that's built by ng10. I think it should. I think this is why we're all going through the whole hassle of rebuilding everything the whole day, but it's worth it. So let me see, I'm not going to run it all at the same time though. Then we can go to the other terminal next to here, and this is also installing packages. There's a lot of installing packages. Next time I'll do an open source Sunday, I'll probably run a sort of local proxy so that it only has to get the stuff once. It's also something you can do easily with Verdasio. It will do it by default, actually. Cache it all out. So yeah, we can get rid of this one for a second, and I'm actually already gonna prepare the pull request, and if it's broken, we can always update it later. So I'm gonna make a commit here once my terminal catches up on the editor. I'm doing too much at the same time. I should take a lesson here, to take note here, but yeah. So I actually changed setup a little bit. For those of you who are watching me more often, I changed orientation a little bit, and I'm gonna see if I can make it a bit more entertaining. I was thinking about looking at the possibility if I can have a web screen that a webcam that points outside, because I got quite a nice view, and it might be interesting to just get some other view of some city. Beautiful city that I live in, like right below my camera here. Why don't we at least have something else to check it out? Now, it created our empty workspace, and I think it will now again install its dependencies, but it's done. We don't have a message here. Okay, I'm interested in why that is. Because I think it should. Let me go over. I'm just gonna run the local registry here. Yarn local registry enable, and what this will do, it will set our default values. So it's setting registry to the local registry. That means that my yarn installs and npm installs will now be using this server as a registry. So in order for this to work, we need to actually start that server and go into, well, no, it's the same local registry. I think the command is, yeah, there you go, yarn local registry start. That's the command. This will start the local server for me. And what I'm going to do is publish it, but locally. And once that's published, I'm just going to run it from there. So this is starting up. There you go. Verdaccio started. In here, I'm going to go to my build packages and then create an Nx workspace folder. And I'm going to get rid of the yarn link. So I'm going to say yarn unlink here. So we're sure that it's not using this unlinked version. And then last thing to check is inside the package JSON, inside the scripts. Well, if I'm in the previous folder, that is. There we are, anytime now. Check the scripts, and what I probably want to run is release, Nx release. Now, releasing is always something you should be careful about. You should not do it in a whim, because you don't want to accidentally update packages that are not intended to be updated. In my case, I don't have any access to the original NPM organization where Nx is hosted, so I can't really do any harm, I think. But yeah. So yarn Nx release, and it looks like this takes a version and the local parameter. So what we want to do is check out which version it is and then make a beta or local version of that. So what I can do is say yarn distag ls at nrwl/workspace, and that should give me 10.something, 10.x.x, and I'll just up 1. Okay, so latest is 10.1.0. So I'm gonna say Nx release, search Nx release, and .1.0. 10.1.1.0 is what they have as latest, so I'm going to say 10.1.1. And this will not be the original version, but we don't really care, because my commit will only behold the change that I made inside this file, and then the versioning will all be happening when they cut a new release. The great folks, my friends of Nrwl. And yeah, so this all looks good. So this is the release script. As I said, it's interesting to see how they did their release. I actually published a library that is called NXPM, Nx Package Manager. And I think in this week's NXPM.dev, there you go, NXPM.dev. And I'll probably in one of these, this week's BEEMAN livestream, BLS, I don't know, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, I will look at NXPM and I will show how easy it is to publish packages from an Nx repo. Now, this NXPM exists mainly right now at this point for releasing packages. That's what I use it for. And there is documentation here, and I figured it makes sense to go over this documentation in a live stream. So check out what it all beholds, how you can all do this. And in the meanwhile, I need to update a few of these things because I updated the script, but I didn't update the documentation that goes with it. So doing this in a live stream at least gives me the opportunity to go over it again. I'm just going to follow this tutorial step by step, and I'll note where it differs. But yeah, and the reason I bring this up is that NXPM is actually built upon the scripts or the structure that they used inside the Nx repo. So that's pretty cool. Another thing that's pretty cool is that right now my output is getting cached. So I did the build before, a few minutes back, let's say 10 minutes back, I did the build. But as you can see, Nx can cache your output, so it doesn't have to build again. It will detect the changes that are made in a certain package, and if there's no changes, it will cache the output. This is a really time saver, a real big time saver on a project. It's like Nx or even larger. So that should publish to our local registry. Then switching back here to the Angular split. Let's see. Okay, it seems like this has a similar error message. Okay, so this is definitely interesting. And well, here you see it's important to test stuff even if you don't have, like we have unit tests in the, we have E2E tests in the Angular split library, but we don't really have an integration test. So it would be nice at some point to look at a way for me to basically check a next version, see if it runs, see if it at least builds. And then if it builds, okay, see if we can run it and if we can play around with it. So error 2380 get set access must have the same time. We can quickly head over to the Angular split repo here, and we can check in this Angular component and the split component. So this is Angular split / Angular split. And then we hit the T key in order for us to search for files. I don't know why it's called T. It's probably tree, I think, file tree. Anyway, if you hit T, you can start searching inside the search box that appeared here. And I'm just going to be searching for split component. Split.component.ts, there we go. I've seen these cute little file trees on the side of GitHub. I never bothered installing one. They look cool as well. So then the error message that we're getting here is that on line 48, get gutter size, get and set accessor must have the same time. The get and set accessor must have the same type. Thank you, BEEMAN, for being able to talk. So this is the one we're looking at the source code here, and we can check where this gutter size is being defined. Now the difference is in this one. So the thing is, get and setter type must have the same type, and this gutter here, the gutter size setter, takes a number or null, whereas the gutter size only returns number. And this also means that we should probably update this one to be number and null. And yeah, that's something that's definitely worth looking at. Maybe that might be a nice thing to get into the stream. Just let me check if there's any other errors that do the same thing. So it's only the gutter size. Okay, that's good. So we can go to OSS Angular split, open it in our IDE, which again takes some load, but yeah, just have to get used to it. It's Sunday. It is all a little bit suave. Suavemente. Now this opens the Nrwl, the Angular split repo, and then inside Nx, in the meanwhile, where we run our release script, we can see that it wants to publish to our local host. So let's do that. It will start publishing all the packages that are locally. We're getting a warning here, but it seems to continue. I like that. And yeah, if that's working, then we should be able to get this message here appearing as we expect. So what we can already do is a little bit of cleanup here and get rid of my NX empty and my NX empty message. Just keep it up. My computer has a lot of rogue node modules already, so let's not add even more to those. So yeah, while this is deploying, we can take a quick look at this Angular split library, and let's make sure that I'm in the right one. This is where I want to be at, and I want to look at the projects folder. This is indexing, might take a little bit with my current machine. Yeah, here we are, Angular split. Then go to the lib folder inside components and look at split component.ts. And then the thing was the gutter size. The gutter size, getter and setter must be of the same type, which they're currently not. So this is the issue. Gutter size here is number. It's number here, but inside this fella, it's number or null. Now, as I explained the last time, I'm not really up to date with the internals of this library yet. I just took over maintenance about a month ago. The only thing I did was cut a new release and looked around a little bit, but there's still a fair amount of unknowns. I don't really understand how the library works. I don't really care about the internals at this moment. I figure that if I need it, I will get to learn it anyway, so I will understand it at some point. But one of the things that is notable is that this script has been around since 2016, when Angular 2 at that time was still in beta. So yeah, there's a few decisions that we would definitely do different this time, but it's an impressive piece of work, and I like using it in my apps. I'm using it in several apps, and this is also why I cared about it enough that I want to be maintainer. Make sure that it has a fruitful life, if you will. What I'm going to do here is the naive way. I'm just going to simply type this number null. Oh, number and null. Number or null, I should say. And do the same thing for gutter size, number or null. And I think that, well, that at least complies with the rule that these getter and setter should have the same type. So that's good. I don't know if it has any side effects, so we need to check that out. And in order to test this in the most decent way, I'm gonna push this up to my own pull request here. And inside this pull request, I'm opening the issues tab here. I'm gonna go to my pull request to make sure that I make this commit to the same branch, so it's all nice and tight at the same branch. So one of the things on GitHub, if you're a maintainer, if somebody like Greg here submits a pull request, I cannot request by default. I can comment to it, I can review it, but I cannot really push. This is kind of annoyance if you're a library maintainer, because then you have to open a new PR if you want to add to this. So this is my new PR where I merge in his stuff and then do my own stuff as well. And yeah, the reason I bring this branch up is that I want to verify that this is the Angular-9 branch that I'm on locally. So yeah, I need to switch to that branch before making this commit. So in here, verify with git status. So yeah, this is the only file that got changed. So check out the Angular 9 branch here and commit this change. Make sure that this is the only lines changed. Yes. Then the message I'm gonna say is fix make type of getter size getter setter consistent. Which words I don't know how to write. And then with that, one of the things that I'm checking out is if this runs on CI. So if Travis is happy with this, if Travis is happy, then I'm halfway happy. And another thing I want to do is cut a release. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this message, push this one up, and then in the meanwhile, open here our changelog, add a line to the changelog that says what I just did. This is the message. Let's copy over this, which is beta1. The beta1. And today's date is, what is it, 6? Sunday 6? It's Sunday 6. 2020-09-06. And what I did here was a fix. Fix, make type of getter / setter consistent. So next thing up here is to go to package.json and update the beta0 to beta1. And then I'm going to commit this. And I have the message from the last time here in my history. So I'm using that one. So I'm consistent right there. And then it's time for me to run the publish script. And I think that's gonna, yep. npm run lib_pub_next. And this will publish the next release to npm, which should have the fix. So normally I would run this, build this locally, test this locally, but in the live stream and with my machine already overheating, I'm just gonna push this fix and see if that fixes the issues I have. Okay, so the NX workspace got all updated. So back to the terminal here and start a new project again. So let's run the same command we did before, and that is the create the NX empty workspace. And let's create this one. I tried first. So that is NX empty, this one. And hopefully we'll be greeted with a message here. That would be super fun and nice. I've been live for 1 hour and 8 minutes. I hope people enjoy what I'm doing here. If not, let me know. If you do like, also let me know. It's nice to hear positive comments and positive feedbacks. So what we can see here, which gives me good hope already, is that we're using 10.1.1, which doesn't exist online, it only exists locally. So I'd be happy to see the message we added here. This one here is now building it. The Angular split script is building, and it will publish it in a little bit, after which we can update our sandboxes and see if that fixed the issue there. So that would be installing it here, installing the latest version of Angular Split. So the npm disk tag is something I use every day to figure out which version of a package is at GitHub or at npm, which version is published on npm. So npm dist tag ls, name of the repository, and there we see that the beta, our next version is now updated to beta 1, which implies that it's ran here. Yeah. I'm switching along a lot between the screens, but yeah, we can see that this got published. So moving back to the sandbox here, installing add next, and this should get our beta 1, 5.0 beta 1, and then if we can run a build, then I'm halfway happy. Yeah, so and this is now running on Travis, so this is my final check. If this doesn't merge and if this breaks, I'll break as well, and I'll do it over. I'll keep on continuing till I got a version that works. So in the terminal, go back to this Nx workspace, wait till this one's loading. It's installing packages. It will most likely now use our Verdaccio local proxy. There you go. This local proxy is now super busy because all the requests are being routed through this proxy. Now the thing you can do, and the thing specifically when I'm streaming, is store this cache on disk so that when I run an npm install, that it will at least fetch a majority of the packages from my local proxy. That will be easy on my internet connection, and this way we'll enjoy more of the time we have together on this stream, because we have to take the maximum out of this. So yeah, it looks like this installation is continuing here. This one as well. So it doesn't really help that I'm running 10 things at the same time anyway, but so we can close out this one. I'm not going to touch Angular split at this moment anymore, so let's say goodbye to this one. One of the things we need to go do inside this project, and it might be good to do this when 5.0 is out, I'd actually like to get types in for these, so you just have a gutter size interface or type, and for instance get a type in for unit. So it's just a simple type that has two options, but I'd rather have like a type called unit, or maybe split unit, that's either percent or pixel, because right now this is being repeated over and over again, and I like to export these. Same goes for direction, so I have a split direction, which is being done here. So yeah, a few of these. This is something we can take a look at the next time. Same for step. I think size is another one. So size is actually an interesting one, where the size getter, let me look it up here. Size getter size. I thought there was a different size property altogether. Is it just a property? Let's look at the inputs that I have. So there's direction, unit, gutter size, gutter step, restrict move. Is it on the... Yeah, I think it might be on the directive though. Split directive. Yeah, there you go. On the directive, we have an input called size, which is a number or null. But what actually happens, we can say size is 100. And this totally works because that's a number. But another option that we offer, which is documented and which works, is add in a string with the value star or the asterisk. Or to put it in a more, I guess, idiomatic way, we would say size is star. So just pass in a string. While this works, it does work. It does handle this case. TypeScript in strict mode complains about this, or the Angular compiler in strict mode. I'm not sure why it complains about this, or I'm not sure who complains. I know why. The workaround currently that I suggest is to do this: use it with the $any method. Wrap it around this one. This is an Angular internal thing, which you can use to skip type checking on properties. So this actually needs to be typed like this: number, null, or the string with a star. And this would probably be type split size equals this. Right, to make sure we export this type from a place where we can export types. But yeah, have this one in place, this type, and then change the occurrences where it says number null to use this split size type. The thing is though that this will break a chain of things, so it's not an easy fix. It's not just taking this type and change it, sadly. If only it was that easy. It needs to be changed in a few more things, and yeah. So that might be a nice one for next up. Open Source Sunday with BEEMAN.DEV. Now, where are we with our installations? Cool. So it looks like Angular Split Beta 5.1 got installed into the Sandbox version 9. So I'm going to run an ng build right here to see if that still fails or if it now works. It would be nice if something would work. There you go. This did work. So we now have a message: first time using NX, check out this interactive NX tutorial. So this should probably be changed. In order to add functionality to an empty workspace, you need to install a plugin. For example, NX blah 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 blah. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little bit different. So the first time using NX, I'm gonna get rid of the check out this interactive tutorial. And I'm gonna reword this a little bit. But I'm glad to see that this did indeed got added here. So let's open up the Create NX Workspace script here, and we're gonna go all the way to the bottom here where we have this line. And let's just make this title like this: first time using NX. Okay, I'm just going to leave this as is, and I'm fairly sure that they will give me some comments on the language here, but that's totally acceptable. So let's go ahead and commit this change. And what I always like to do is check out git log for a file, for the file that I want to commit, and look at the scope they're using. It's either miscellaneous or it's core, and I think I'm going to go with miscellaneous. And it's going to be, I think, a feature, a fix miscellaneous. Add message. Add message. Suggesting to install a plugin with an empty workspace. Add message. Suggesting to install a plugin in an empty workspace. Cool. So that worked. I'm happy that that worked. So we're going to get rid of the NX empty because we don't really need the workspace itself. We just needed to check that this works, which I'm glad it did. And hopefully that will allow us to address the issue. Got a message from GVRHS. Thanks for your interesting content, but he has to sleep. They have to sleep. Well, good night, GVRHS. Will be interesting also to see how to debug such a big project like NX in real time. Yes, it is. Personally, I'm not a huge expert in debugging this per se, I would say. I think I know my way around NX because I've been following along for like since it got out there. But yeah, definitely. If you have something specific you like to see, if you want me to look at an issue that's open, I'm more than happy to check it out, do it on a live stream. Just open up the stream and go about it. Just let me know, ping me on Twitter, BEEMAN_NL. And I'm happy to chat about it. So this is loading here. And while that's going, we can close off the rest of the windows. So make sure that we leave it all nice and done. So this message got added and I'm going to push up the branch. And once the branch is there, we're going to go to NX and create a pull request. And what I want to say in the pull request, I want to suggest that this at least fixes an issue for it adds a suggestion for people that are stuck in this place. So yeah, this one's building, this one's pushing. I'm gonna leave this open for a little bit, so not to interrupt anything that might be running in the background. And get rid of this message here. As you will see, I'm still pretty new to this stuff, as I said earlier. It's not an excuse, but just a FYI. An FYI. This will do the push here, and we can get rid of this instance of the editor. I'm closing it all down because that way I'm sure that we don't leave anything open. Okay, so it looks like this all works. So it looks like we can now build the NG9 version. That's good. I'm happy with this. So what I'm going to do is it's a chore update Angular split to 5.0.0-beta. That one. We are. Update this one, push it to GitHub. Push up. For these sandboxes, I don't really bother about creating branches, pull requests. I just pull right to the main branch because, well, that's how I roll with these kind of things. Now, Angular 10, it's split next library. I'm out of beats. Well, maybe that's a sign that I should hop off anytime now. Let's get one more beat in, but not this one. Let's get this one on. A little bit more chill vibes for the Sunday afternoon. BEEMAN.DEV Open Source Sunday. Glad you're here with me today. Install next. There you go. So install it indeed then as well. And we can see in our editor, this is still building. Okay. Check fields. Code style issues found in the above. Forgot to run prettier. Well, honestly, I thought I shouldn't have to, my dearest NX workspace. But you know what? I'm here to make you happy. So let's say young format and hope that formats the code in the proper way. It might be something simple as line endings, by the way. Yeah, there you go. It's line endings. So how did they solve it here? Okay. So let's see. I don't think this is something that Prettier can fix, but we'll see where we get. I would think strings are allowed to overcross it, just like this one. Might not even be the issue anyway. So I'm gonna run this one in V8, and then split it next, install that one. Take a sip of water while we're looking at bars to complete. Now here, back in NX workspace, running a formatter. This is all slowed down. Luckily, if you check the stream at YouTube, you can increase the speed a little bit. For the actual live streams, the BLS, BEEMAN live stream, BEEMAN.DEV live stream that I do in the weekdays or over last weekday, I timestamped most of these things in order for my, well, the best use of the content. I don't really plan on doing that for these live streams because it's quite a bit of work. And in these streams, I jump around more. So like this is more the spontaneous, I'd say, live stream. For the BLS live streams, the official BEEMAN.DEV live stream in the weekdays, I will try to keep up with doing that. Also, I'm gonna try and figure out if I can make a schedule and just have a fixed time that I'm live on each of the weekdays at least. It's easy for me to comply to that kind of thing, or relatively easy, but I just need to know it up front. And for instance, tomorrow I got things listed already because I just started out a week ago. But I'm sure you'll understand. I got a comment from Dominic that it's on the late side in Europe. So when I do a stream right here, it's like evening for me. It's like 5 in the afternoon. But in Europe, it's like 12 o'clock. People are asleep. Gotta work to Monday. Gotta go to work on Monday. They don't have time to hang around and check open source, sadly. So if this runs ngBuild well, then I'm happy with where we got today with Angular Split and with Nrwl Workspace. Let me see if I have anything I need to touch on. Yeah, if you're not here already, go check out Angular community on Discord, where you can be with fellow Angular enthusiasts. We're 500 plus people already and growing steadily. So that's cool. Give me a like and subscribe on YouTube. You would really help me out. I want to have this number be bumped to 100 ASAP. That would be the day. I would never have thought I would get 100 subscribers on YouTube, but it might happen soon. So cool, let's go for that. NXPM, check it out if you haven't. I'm going to do a live stream about NXPM this week in one of the BEEMAN live shows, the BEEMAN.DEV live streams. I'm not sure which one. Tomorrow I'll most likely look at Scully and NX. So that's BLS 005. And then, yeah, maybe 6 is going to be NXPM or something else that pops in my mind. I've also started recording new content for Egghead, so that's coming along as well. I'm gonna properly record everything I did live streams of last week, or the 4 live streams actually. And that's gonna be a whole new course that's gonna be out on Egghead. And yeah, kind of depends on the production there is generally pretty fast, and I can publish stuff there, but I really like their feedback, and yeah, see where we go. And the last course I put out on Egghead was, if I recall correctly, starting in 2019, or actually it might have been 2018. Well, way overdue. It's been way too long since I've put content on Egghead, and I really want to get back to it. And doing these kind of things really helped me get in the groove. So yeah, gonna be ending up here. Gonna be wrapping up the live stream of today. This one will keep running. Actually, we got a failed error here, but so yeah, that's something I need to look at. The message in NX workspace at least is updated, and once that once this is done, I'll push that up as well. There you go. So now let's see if I can do a commit. Okay, change some formatting. Did it change? Oh me. Okay, it added a semicolon here. Look at me being bad for not adding semicolons. Okay, so then with that, I can run the same commit, git commit, and do the fix miscellaneous, add message suggesting to install a plugin in an empty workspace. And hopefully that runs, and do a git push. Here, git push it up. So interestingly enough, what the NX folks decided to do is to run a whole slew of tasks pre-push, commit lint basically. That's how they call it. So it also uses Husky, what we also use in the course and in the other live streams, and it executes commit lint, which validates, well, first the commit message, which luckily got accepted. They also generate documentation automatically, and they run a check if your code is properly formatted. So pretty nice stuff, pretty handy. I'd say the only downside is that it might take a bit, like we see right now, to run stuff if you want to do a git push. But it definitely beats a pre-commit hook in this case, specifically. And I should reconfigure my IDE that it properly formats and that it doesn't choke on this ESLint settings thing. So cool. As we can see, the split sandbox also works now with version 10. So let's add to that we have a chore update split to 5.0.0 beta. We will get push here. Now in my V8 sandbox, I also installed the latest beta. So note that this beta is being built with Angular 10, and we're in a Angular V8 project. So let's run a build and see if this works. Because it does, I'm fairly happy with where this is going. So yeah, this project has been scaffolded out with Angular CLI 8.3.29, and which is from about a year ago, I'd say. I think it should mostly work, but you never know in our world of software. So yeah, I guess I'm sticking around for a few more minutes here to look at this and then finalize it all. I really hope that these live streams help people to contribute more to open source. I think it's a really valuable thing to do for your experience, and it's nice for the community. I've landed an amazing job because of doing something open source. That's about 5 years back. I'm happy to tell the story again at some point, but yeah, open source software really changed my life. It definitely did. And I want to contribute to other people contributing. I really hope this kind of stuff inspires people to do more open source software. It's not scary. As you can see, you don't have to be like, you don't have to contribute huge amounts of code. A simple message like this can really help people use the tool in a different way. So don't be afraid, and the people in open source contributions are generally very friendly and opening and welcoming to help you make a nice contribution. For sure, the folks at Nrwl are of that species. These people are amazing in general, and they're really open to people contributing. Let's see why this didn't work as expected. Okay, so let's not bother about it too much. So when I pop open this tab, let me get the browser here first. Okay, so first things first. It looks like the version 8 does not like the one that's built with version 10. So now that's good to note. I'm gonna make a decision if I even want to support version 8, because Angular Split version 4 works with V8 totally fine. So I'm actually happy to pull the trigger and say, as of Angular Split version 5, we only support Angular 9 and Angular 10. And if you want to see anything in the realm of Angular 8 and below, you have to look for the older versions which are available. So basically you have a message inside README that says, hey, Angular version X, this is the version of Angular Split you want to be looking at. So I'm totally happy with that. So that I won't forget it, I'm going to add a note for myself, an issue here. And the issue is going to be future request add compatibility table to README and docs. As of version 5 of Angular Split, there will be a minimal Angular compatibility requirement. Angular Split 5.0 will only support Angular 9 and 10. So yeah, label enhancement, I'm going to assign myself, because why not? Submit a new issue so that I keep track of it. And then next time in Open Source Sunday on BEEMAN.DEV, we can look at this one. So yeah, basically pull the trigger as we spoke. I was already thinking about it. I think that's totally fine. And you know what? I'm the maintainer, so I can decide what's fine for this project. There you go. So going over to the NX workspace repo and closing out tabs, we're almost done here. So it asks me to create a pull request. I'm never sure if this is GitHub doing it or if it's the plugin that I'm using. So I actually want to use this as a title for the commit. And then add a commit message here. And let me see, well, contributing guide, I read that and I'm happy to comply. I made sure the git commit is in the good message. So the issue is when installing an empty workspace, there is no message that you should install a plugin to add actual functionality to your workspace. Actual functionality to your workspace. Expected behavior. There should be a message suggesting. There should be a message suggesting the user to install a plugin. Related issue, and I'm gonna go ahead and look up the issue ID again. I'm not a smart man. I'll close this thing. I think it's 59. It's 2953. What is it? Yeah, it's 2953. 2953. Related issue 2953. I had a question here. Please let me know if you like to see any changes in the language. And that's about it. Related issue there, where people suggest we add a message. So I'm gonna create a pull request, and with that, it's gonna be a wrap for this BEEMAN.DEV Open Source Sunday. Thank you so much for hanging around here. I really appreciate it. Go follow me on Twitter. Give me a like on YouTube. Follow me on Twitch, on GitHub, on MySpace, I think. I'm not sure. Thank you all very much for hanging around. I really appreciate it. This was BEEMAN.DEV live stream, and I'm going to end the broadcast here. Bye-bye.